I unfortunately could not get someone to ask Black Dahlia questions about. So I will tell you, to the best of my knowledge, how I understand how Dahlia works. What do you mean to send in the Big Band replay? I'll just start on the Dahlia ones because it seemed like you were mostly focused on those. Did you send in? Did you send in 2 sets of band? Okay. I'll start with the Dahlia, and then I'll see where we're at in time because I ended up talking a lot for Stray. Yeah, Black Dahlia. Did not mean to send in band? Okay. Man. So, the way I'm used to seeing Dahlia players zone is more akin to Fuqua or Valentine rather than Parasol. I don't often see them using the ground versions of their shots. Dahlia has incredibly strong air options, air mobility. She loves being basically where your shot is now compared to where you are. Your jump heavy kick controls a silly amount of space. You can whiff cancel it into a shot to prevent people from actually punishing you if they get in your dead zone. Your jump light punch is a ludicrous button. Yeah, you can shoot. You can shoot all these in the air. So it's a really good habit to be in, to kind of just be hovering in this space. Because you have jump heavy kick, you can fall with a jump light punch, you can fall with a jump medium punch. You can always just shoot one of your shots. This is the bread and butter, and this is the one thing I see almost every Black Dahlia I play against do. It's a really strong spot to be in. Yeah, kind of just holding all that. Getting hits immediately. Kind of just playing neutral, getting reload off. Looks like we're kind of unfamiliar with the tools. That is the thing you want to use. And also getting used to the confirms after it. I'm pretty sure you let both hits rock. You then do the shot that hits just about under you. And I forget what you pick up with afterwards. But that is a very important conversion to know as a Dahlia player. Yeah, kind of just getting caught, not really knowing what buttons to press. You have a 7-frame jab, so it's even more scary to deal with her. That dead zoned. I'm not. Oops, I wanted to go back. So yeah, so like here is then where you'd fire a shot afterwards. Learning the routes. Her dash is interesting, but I like it. Yeah, this is one of the biggest issues about this matchup is your projectiles are slow and can be pretty easily reflected. I do like that you super jumped and then wanted to just commit further forward. Getting over that wall seems like the right idea. You might be able to just hover directly over it and like press jump heavy kick. I don't know if you can assault cancel like you can air dash cancel. So you might not be able to avoid falling on it afterwards, which makes it a more sketchy option. But yeah, you don't want to be behind that wall. We are struggling on defense. Good night. Yeah, jab round start isn't going to end up doing much. It doesn't actually end up reaching all that far. The air shots probably you want to be seeing more. Does she really just... Man, she low profiles that jab by existing. It's a very tall jab, so it's kind of sketchy to be pressing. I don't know how fast her 2LP is, but that's probably the better panic button to be pressing. Her jab will probably swat anti-airs out of the sky. Or not anti-airs, sorry, air dashes. Yep. Keep track of your reloads. Hold all this. She's now in Rav. You get tagged. Not actually safe, but now you are. Come up. That's how that interaction works. Why did those work better than Emigrit at eating that? I'm honestly a little upset. Not gonna lie. And I'm not really ever mashing push block. You want to be timing it well. And unless you're doing it very wrong, most of the time you shouldn't necessarily be getting counter hit. You might be getting caught backdashing. But that's in and of its own, that's its own story. That jab just doesn't work there. Oh, that was your turn. So like that was a good push block. Like I was talking about with Straight earlier, it depends on how good your reactions are / how predictive you want to be with it. I personally end up going for trying to push block the first or second hit. It gets people off you a lot quicker. You have to hold a lot less. The issue is people can push block bait me because I do it predictively sometimes. And that leaves me liable to getting opened up like I described earlier, where I get backdash instead of push block because there was nothing to push block, and then I get caught with a button afterwards. If you want to be more patient, you can wait for like the third or fourth hit. You might have to hold a little bit more, but you know you're like guaranteed to get them off of you. That's kind of when the earlier you push block, the better, but once you get to a point, it becomes a risk to try and push block that early. And that is a very nuanced and like specific to matchup plus assists question about exactly when you want to be push blocking. So understand that's very flexible and something you should honestly just consider messing around with in game. Experiment with random push block timings, see what works, see what doesn't, see what gaps it creates for you. Yeah, that's... Oh, counter whiffs. Oh, and you get countered. Yeah, you're pressing jab a lot. I know you're probably in the habit from Parasol. Parasol's jab functions very differently from a lot of other characters' jabs. So hers is a pretty strong neutral tool. It's not the case for a lot of the rest of the cast. They have their uses. They're good buttons. Some are better than others. And I would agree with you that I think you can apply pretty strongly Parasol game plan to Dahlia. I think she wants to zone a little bit more than Parasol tends to, but they can both play similarly. You just have to understand that there's going to be a difference in the buttons they're pressing. But you can play the zoney, spacey, just change tempo character. That's honestly the way I like watching it played, but I'm also, again, a Parasol player. And I think I play against Race's Dahlia the most, who also just likes going in a lot. So... Orange Vial. Jabbed again. Pressing that too much. I wouldn't necessarily say the buttons in the air are better, but they are strong. They're really strong tools, and staying in the air is something I see a lot of Black Dahlias do. She does have some really strong ground buttons if you're willing to commit to them. Her medium punch and medium kick reach incredibly far pretty quickly, and you can catch people off guard if you start getting an understanding for footsies and calling people out on their approach. As well as your dash is a bit of a jump scare. It has a little bit of startup, but once she moves quick, so you can also just dash up and get a low in. And so something I see Dahlia's, especially at least Race, do a lot is dash up to LK, and it's 5 HP I think is the overhead. Just quickly, 1-2, like, but her buttons are very solid. Jump heavy kick, phenomenal. Jump light punch, talked about it. Jump medium punch, something you could probably press more. It's better as an air to air, but it goes really far quite quickly. And I think also jump heavy punch. Landing on people with jump heavy punch, it's a really big destroy. And it might stall your air momentum? I forget. So don't quote me on that. Yeah. So you can get a confirm there, just getting used to that is fine. They're doing counter again, because they're rude. And mess up the heavy counter hit immediately. Unfortunate burst. Yeah, can't really be bursting there. Yeah, okay, and then that's that for the Black Dahlia stuff. So I didn't end up pausing too much because it also just looks like you were getting familiar with the character. So I'll go into training room and kind of like show you some of the things I'm used to seeing with the character. And again, this is mostly from memory, so I'm probably missing some things. I would highly encourage you to reach out to Race or Hins and ask like what their general game plan is, or if they just have replays for you to watch. I know Hins had like a couple matches on stream for Be Great last night. I don't know how much more content there is around Black Dahlia floating places, but I mean, I'll just choose random characters. That is like your bread and butter neutral stuff. I see them doing this sort of stuff you change your shot depending on what your opponent's doing, obviously. That's it. Does she have the quick reload mechanic still? Or did that get removed? Okay, yeah, there it is. Yeah, this... I see this all the time. Talking about... This button, I guess they use it more so from empowered. This is a really strong landing button. Pretty sure you're quite plus after it. Yeah, plus 32. So, you see like this... Oh, I double clicked, whoops. But stuff like that, you land, depending on the spacing, they'll kind of just land with this. This just checks approaches. It's something that's a little bit more committal. So you throw it out more as I think they're not going to be blocking here rather than just throwing it out in neutral, but both of these, forward moving, quick reaching, pretty strong tools. They do end up leaving you close, so getting used to the spacing after is important. Yeah. Kind of typical stuff you see. I'm trying to think. This button is nuts. Like, whatever the instant overhead, whoops. I forget exactly what they do, but you can kind of get an instant overhead with this. That's silly. Playing a lot of the spacing game, and then as I was describing earlier, race, like at this range where you can be doing this or you're just safe to do this. Also, we'll just go and do it's that. Like, obviously you don't also need to have it be 2LK, I think it reaches slightly further, but 5LK is also a low, so you can kind of just do that. Terrifying. Need to be good about blocking it. And then you also kind of... if they're smart, they'll honestly default to blocking the overhead. You can do this, and if you think they're not going to block that, you can go for that. You can also just... Your sweep's only -5. Not bad. That's -1, okay. Yeah. Yeah, those are kind of sort of tools. Honestly, more than anything else, it just kind of looks like you needed to get used to the character. And so hopefully this helps. Again, there's some pretty good Black Dahlia resources hanging around in the Get Great server. Ask them. Do a little bit of watching. Peek the Henze VoD. That sort of deal. Oh, actually, Henze might have streamed recently enough for you to go watch them play. They were labbing the character. They played a 1st to 20 with me, or it might have been a 1st to 15. One of the two, and then I think they played QM afterwards, so that's probably a good amount of Dahlia footage. Because they've been grinding beta for a while. Yeah, that holds the bang. She's a very flexible character. You can try and mold her to your own playstyle. It's very similar to how Parasol has a lot of expression as well. So let's experiment with things. Figure out how zoney you want to be versus how aggressive you want to be, what setups you like doing. There's a lot of room for growth in Dahlia right now, and just keep an eye out for new tech, because it's just going to keep happening.